Let's start the insanity. Okay, so folks, obviously Tuesday night was the debate between Kamala Harris and Donald Trump, and the verdict is in that Kamala won on points. 63-37 was, I think, the CNN poll of viewers. They thought Kamala won, and I think that's kind of inarguable that she won on points, but it was not an earth-shaking debate. It was not a game changer. No one had a meltdown. But you talk about barking at the moon. Here's Chris Wallace really getting used to the new gig at CNN, right? Not Fox News anymore. He knows his job at CNN. Here's Chris Wallace saying that Donald Trump's debate performance was actually worse than Joe Biden's debate performance, which knocked him out of the race.
Didn't think I was ever going to witness a debate as devastating as the one that you and Dana moderated back in June, where Joe Biden basically tanked his reelection campaign. I think tonight was just as devastating. I think that Kamala Harris pitched a shutout. On almost every subject I can think of. She shut Trump down on abortion. She shut Trump down on January 6th and democracy. She shut him down on national security and turned to the former president and said, the military leaders who served with you think that you're a disgrace. And then, as Dana mentioned, very powerfully at the end made the point that she is the candidate of change. And we need to turn the page from a decade of division and polarization. On substance, I think she pitched a shutout, and I think she did on style as well.
Okay, so you heard that right. You heard that right. That this debate performance from Donald Trump was just as devastating as the debate performance that literally knocked the presumptive nominee and incumbent president out of the race. This was just as devastating a blow. Wow. You talk about barking at the moon. We have that sound drop, don't we?
That is how you get a job. That's how you get a job, and that is how you keep a job.
Yeah.
This is, look, I mean, these things, I increasingly, as time goes on, I just don't even understand what the purpose of having these people opinionate is. Everyone knows that they're bought and paid for. Everyone knows that their analysis really has nothing to do with cogent, coherent facts. It's not about facts or analysis. You're not going to learn anything from listening to these people. It is purely, it's an entertainment product. This is for people who get gassed up by hearing things like that.
Yeah, you see, did you hear what Chris Wallace said? He said that there was one.
Well, that's why it's barking at the moon. Yeah, that's why. That's where that phrase comes from. Yeah.
Yep, that's who that is who it's for, and nobody else. And as you can see from the ratings, this is the bright side. There are not a lot of our countrymen and women who are really interested in listening to that.
Just amazing.
This is for a very, very small slice of the electorate. Unfortunately, they disproportionately vote the people who want to listen to this shit.
Yeah, and their eyeballs keep these media networks, unfortunately, relevant, right? That is the other part of this, right? And so you have to obviously take them more seriously than you should because of that. They actually influence the discourse much more than they actually should. But the other point there is he says, she crushed him on abortion and January 6th. I mean, she crushed him on what? The two issues that everyone who has those as their top issue is voting for her anyway. Like, what do you mean? Like, it's
anyone who cares.
It was an MSNBC level of cope there. Like, yeah, she really threw the red meat to the people who wouldn't dream of not voting her anyway. It was a home run. It was a shutout, and it's more devastating than Joe Biden. You understand that is unprecedented to have an incumbent knocked out of the race because of a debate performance. You understand how crushing that was? That transcended a debate. That wasn't even processed as a debate, as you said very well. That was a news event. It was a news event. The fact that Biden was that bad, it wasn't that he had a bad debate. It's that he collapsed on stage. He could have collapsed at a rally and it would have been that bad. Like, that's how awful that was. You're saying that this is comparable to that? Man, you were dying to get that line in, and he was just going to get that in no matter what.
Yeah, well, because the audience for CNN is very butthurt about their man being humiliated in a debate by Donald Trump. So they're dying to have that formulation that
Right.
that the scales of justice have been balanced back as they should be. And now the equivalent has happened to Donald Trump.
Right.
Now Trump
Right.
has been put in the position he should have been in that debate. But Joe Biden, well, we don't want to talk about that. We don't want to talk about the fact that, and this is something, not to go off on a tangent, but Greenwald keeps making this point, and it's true. The fact that the country is still running pretty much the same tells you how much of a figurehead the presidency
Right. Yeah,
has
exactly.
become.
Right.
Like, what difference does it make? Clearly, we don't have a president right now.
Right. Right.
There is
Yeah.
no president. And what's the difference?
No, there's no difference now, and there won't be any difference if/when Harris wins, right? I mean, they
Right.
are the same in that way. Harris has more presence than a man who is collapsing at the seams, but not much more. Not much more. I mean, she is pretty much running as a generic figurehead
Right.
for the government that stands in back of her. No one believes that she has any real convictions whatsoever. No one believes that she actually has any sort of original thoughts. She just put out her policies on her website, I guess, a day before the debate,
Right.
probably in case Donald Trump made that point,
Yeah.
which, this way he can't say I have no policies on the website. That's probably why she did
Right.
that. But no one actually believes she stands for anything, just like no one believes Joe Biden does. Right.
Right.
And so they really have jumped the shark in the sense that this does really reveal that the president doesn't run things.
Well, but you know what? Joe Biden does have some convictions. They are subject to pushback from the people who actually run shit. This is why my video essay about Kamala starts with the conceit of the film adaptation of Eric Bogosian's Talk Radio, which is very much gets into backstory that the play doesn't, of how he was this revolutionary shock jock who displaced the old style morning radio sound effects, squeaking horns kind of guy. And he was the new edgy thing that displaced that much more innocent kind of morning radio. And then at the end, he's displaced by something that is horrific to him that pushes that envelope even further. I think that is a very good metaphor for the Biden Kamala declension. He has some beliefs. He has some actual political beliefs. But he represents a transition to president as pure figurehead that she is the apotheosis of, where now you're at a point where like this person has no real past, has no real personality, has no real substance at all. Not even enough. Like, you can't imagine Kamala even really caring when they tell her, no, we don't like that, do this. Whereas you imagine Joe Biden at least feeling a little castrated by it. You get the sense with her, it's just going to be, you tell me to jump and I'll say how high.
Please clap.